I used to feel so much anger to myself because I didn't leave right away, or I didn't speak up for myself, or I didn't, do this, and that. And sometimes now people will even say that to me because they don't believe my story. And it just echoes the own voice in my head of saying this doesn't matter and, doubting myself. But I'm learning to show compassion for that earlier self because she didn't know better. She didn't have resources. I mean, the amount of isolation, and when you are in different kinds of abuse, it changes your brain, right? So it's not like you asked for that to happen to you and you didn't deserve it. And then we have all this shame, but we have to come to terms with we didn't ask for that at all. It's not our fault, even though there are going to be people who will blame us. But that's not okay. And we need to shift how we think about abuse and harm because we're keeping people from healing by making them feel more shame about it.
When we first moved to Houston, it was a shock at what I couldn't see, and I was crushed and devastated that I couldn't continue my career. I had a streak of self-pity and crying, but eventually I had to get up and stand up and keep moving forward, because that is not the way to solve a problem or to live a life. It's not like I didn't know I had RP. I just didn't expect, this rapid loss of vision and to end my career abruptly. So it was difficult. But then when I decided to start Blind Girl Designs and to tell everyone I was blind and to, start my own business in the fashion field in a slightly different way, it really helped with my acceptance of my visual loss, because I realized so much of what we do is not in our eyes, but it's in our brain. And so much stuff that we do with our eyes can be done in a tactile manner as well, by using our hands or some other parts of our body. Again, continuous journey of learning, new skills and ways to do stuff and to adapt more to my environment.
My vocabulary has always been extensive, and I kind of pride myself on, being able to string along these multisyllabic words into, the raps that I have. The worst piece of advice I'd ever gotten, come from my brother. I'm having trouble, getting on beat. I'm having trouble staying in tune with, with what we're doing. And he asked me, he said, why don't you just say something shorter, smaller, find a shorter word for what you're trying to say, because the people listening to this are going to know that shorter word better than they're going to know the bigger one. And I remember, responding to him saying, if they don't know what I'm saying, that's not my problem. I am not a thesaurus. I'm not a dictionary. I am not a teacher. I'm just a guy trying to make music. And if I just so happen to use the word esoteric and someone's on the other end listening and they don't know what esoteric means, it would make sense to just go Google the word, go look up the word so you'll know what I'm saying. And then you'll have the context of what I'm saying in this rap. But it's not my job to dumb down what I'm trying to say just so more people will listen.
I don't even think that this would be a conversation if we were talking about a white artist.
Not at all. We would, we'd be talking about how, that white artist fits into the realm of whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to me, and that's the unfortunate thing, because again, diversity is a beautiful thing. And I feel like anyone of any background should be able to make music if they want to. If that's their heart's passion, if that's their dream, go for it. Shoot for the stars. I feel like it is stupid and immature and just completely unnecessary to take an artist of a certain color or a certain origin or a certain background out of the conversation just because of what they look like or just because of where they come from. I think it's stupid.
30% of my caseload were kids from Spanish-speaking families, either bilingual or ELL families. And just the language flexibility that some of those kids develop is really incredible, where they're juggling Spanish, English, and sign language. Because a lot of my students weren't necessarily like totally deaf. There is a whole continuum of hearing loss that is considered deaf and hard of hearing. And depending on the amplification that people use, hearing aids, cochlear implants provide various amounts of hearing back, but it's only a tool and it's imperfect and it provides, amplification, but not clarity. There's all of these factors that play into like each person's hearing loss. And so a lot of my students did speak to a certain extent, but it was a lot of work for them. And someone's speech isn't necessarily an indicator of how much or how little hearing they have or how easy it is for them to use it. All of that to say, I was continually amazed by students whose communication skills surpassed what people expected of them. Their ability to use multiple means of communication that weren't necessarily, quote, the targeted means. The students who used emojis to text their parents because their parents spoke Spanish and they were learning English in school, and that was the only way they could text their parents was to use emojis. Just how adaptable the brain is linguistically. That is just something that has always amazed me and stuck out to me, is just how much humans desire and need to communicate with each other. We will figure it out.
Anxiety is wishing for what you don't want. You do not have to believe everything you think. You can choose your thoughts. It was along the line, this idea of choosing your thoughts. And I'm like, that is not true. You cannot choose your thoughts, because I would never have chosen the things that I thought. I thought it was a total lie, but there was something about that. I'm like, but what if it's not? What if it's not true? And in this whole time where I had just believed every single thought that had popped into my head because it made me feel anxious and it felt very important. And so I did. That's what I did. I mean, I prayed like my life depended on it. And I thought, well, obviously I can't even pray right because that's not working. And I was begging, but it all went back to me constantly going back to check and see if I was anxious and to make sure I wasn't dying. And every time I did that, whether it was because I Googled something on my computer or because I asked my parents or I called my doctor, it was me putting more energy and more thought into how I felt and what I was afraid of, instead of realizing that I feel anxious. I've felt this at least 10,000 times by this point, and I'm fine. And what if that's not true? I never, ever got to the point where I could ask myself, what if it's not true? And that choice of saying, I don't have to believe that, was the first thing that actually made a difference for me.
I lost my eyesight and I gained vision. I didn't lose my vision. I gained vision. Now, I'll flip this around for just a second. Having said that, if I could see again tomorrow, would I in a heartbeat? Absolutely. But if I could go back 27 years almost now and change it, not a chance. Because of that, I can't judge a book by its cover. I can't see who you are. I don't know how tall you are. I don't know the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, the color of your skin. I don't know whether you got tattoos from head to toe. I have no idea what you look like. So in order for me to get to know you, I have to open that cover of that book. I got to talk to you, find out a little bit about who you are and what you're about before I ever pass judgment. And I can't see things, so I don't know they exist. So I don't want them. And it makes me really focus on what do I really need and what do I really want. And I think about that. An example I tell all the time was I was sitting here at my table talking to my mother one time. This is after I lost my eyesight. And my daughters were in here jumping around, squealing and jumping up and down. And my mom was like, girls, you stop that. You're going to tear this up. I'm like, no, Mom. I said, please, you stop. said, you see these pictures and things sitting on the walls, these knickknacks that are sitting out here? I said, I can't see them. I don't know they exist. They might as well not even be here at some time. But that laughter, I can't replace it. That I can't replace.